Trump won again like live, live. Trump won again like live, live. Now we locking up the pedals like Kamala crying with Doritos like kill another live eagle like yeah. Where the Trump haters at? Y'all quiet, I don't even see the comments in the back. Stop hiding, y'all was talking all that smack when you commies had Biden. Now Trump is your president, say hello to your highness. It's cold winter, red wave digging deep like a gold digger. Conservative, I'm proud to be an American. Liberal, super hurt, the state was cocky and arrogant. Overly confident and rooting for communist Kamala. I'ma just dominate for 4 more years and I'ma take all the hate. Underlay, line them up just like a barber, eh? Beyonce and the Carters couldn't stop the wave. Popping champagne to the live-tier ocean. I can feel the pain, got y'all moving slow motion. Just move out the way, cause the red gang coasting. Move out the way, semi-trucks about to close in. Took the garbage out and that's exactly what we did. Glad bags on the commies, had to snatch it from the kids.
My fellow Americans and autists who voted for Trump, it's your boy Dank Brandon here. I want to take a moment to congratulate the DNC on losing another election to Donald Trump. You replaced me with a candidate who has the same likability as Greasy, hobo taint and expected to win, and they say I'm the retarded one. The Democrats said that I was too old, that I was too slow, that I was a joke. Well, here's a joke for you. What do Willie Brown and the 2024 presidential election have in common? Kamala Harris blew both of them. I shouldn't have said that. But seriously, I mean, first Hillary loses to Donald and now Kamala. This man has beaten more women than Doug Emhoff. Anyways, congrats on losing to Hitler again. I hope he locked you all up this time. Dank Brandon out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Rescue Michigan post-election live stream. Although technically it's not post-election yet because there's still ballots being counted in a number of jurisdictions across the country. So we'll get to that in a minute. But hey, Amber, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Sorry I didn't get to stick around too late after that that victory celebration party, but actually had more streaming to do, and just figured it made more sense just to go home and do it there than to move the computer out to the front and then do it all over again, because there's just a lot of distractions there. But thank you very much to everybody at the state party and the Oakland GOP that invited us, because it was really cool to be there. But yeah, it was the prime spot. By the way, something crazy is going on with my streaming software tonight. I've got a comment from Facebook user that just says, which I have to imagine is Barry Altman saying greetings from Highland Park. Oh, no, Mark. Wait, yeah. Mark Price, right? Sorry, I'm almost had it, but anyway, I can still read the comments in the chat, but apparently I can't see who they're from. So there you go. And Jojo Pixie Pun Rumble says, "Good evening. We still wait. Yes, we still wait to know the official House results. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So before we do that, though, we definitely have to do at least a couple of dank memes. I hope that opening bit wasn't too offensive, but
I never know the opening, so when I always see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was funny. I'm always thinking of it the first time too.
Yep. So we've got a couple of things. First off, I got to show, because it's just, we haven't even yet really taken a moment to just savor the good news, and unfortunately, we've got some bittersweet stuff to talk about tonight too. But first, obviously, the huge thing is the massive Trump win, and man, the national popular vote, if that's what the Democrats had gotten, this is what the electoral map would have looked like, folks, because that is the national popular vote compact map, which, of course, for the last 4 years, Democrats have been screaming about how we need to have the national popular vote because it's the America's will. And, of course, the only reason they ever want to do it is just because it looked like it was going to benefit Democrats. But this is what the national popular vote compact would have done to the electoral map, folks.
Doesn't look like that. Doesn't look like I have a problem with that anymore.
No, me neither. Although again, it's very election specific, and I still don't think we should destroy the compact of the founders over this. But it's just such an extra nice thing, because we've all heard our Democrat friends and family whining about the fact that Trump didn't win the popular vote in 2016, but this time he decisively won the popular vote. So eat it, guys. And they're gonna have to actually reckon with reality a little bit harder this time. There won't be any screaming and trying to overturn the result of the election as they did in 2016. Yeah. So anyway, just you guys, I'm sure have seen as many of these clips as I have of the left wingers just freaking out on the internet. But you haven't seen this one. This is just my favorite. I think probably my favorite of all of them. Let me just hit play on this.
Hope your day gets better. Positive energy.
Don't even have to have you don't have to see the woman across the street. You can hear her well enough. Yeah, I like that one. It's one of my favorites.
I actually haven't watched any of these. I've been not on social media.
Oh, there's tons of them. Joe Neerman, the channel Good Logic. He has a really good compilation he did. I think it's like Wednesday night. But there's go to like any of these major conservative people's Twitter feed, X feeds. Matt Walsh has a bunch of them. Actually, speaking of Matt Walsh, he has a great one. I gotta show this one. I'm not gonna play the whole thing just because it is his show. It's like a 2-minute clip, but this was from a few days ago, talking about trying to, because he played a bunch of these clips on his show, and then he has this nice little disclaimer at the end. Here we go.
We've had our fun with these videos. We've sipped from the chalice of leftist suffering. We've satiated our thirst with the sweet nectar of liberal tears. But I do want to get serious for just one moment and offer a word of encouragement to these people. It may seem funny to us, but they are truly worried that Donald Trump will be an evil dictator. And I think it'd be irresponsible and frankly pretty cruel of me if I didn't take a second to reassure them on that point. So, in all seriousness, all jokes aside, no, Donald Trump is not going to be an evil dictator. He's going to be a good dictator. So don't worry. Yes, Trump is going to be dictator for life. When he dies, his throne will be passed down to Baron Trump, and the Trump dynasty shall reign for 1,000 years. But it's all for your own good. Is Trump going to take away all of your rights? Absolutely not. Not all of them. You'll still have the right to agree with Trump and praise him always. Is Trump going to take away voting rights from women? Again, no. Women will have the right to vote for whoever their husbands tell them to vote for, which will always be Trump.
Anyway, this goes on for another couple of minutes, but yeah, just brilliant.
Oh, that's so great.
I had to get that one in, and what else was there? Okay, so this one, I almost did this bit for the cold open, but I thought it was probably too raunchy, so
let's do it now.
Just heads up, folks in chat. If you got kids in the room, I'm gonna cover their ears or something, because there's a few curse words dropped here. So, but this is Kamala Harris's concession speech. This is from if you ever seen Ryan Long's comedy. This is the guy that does comedy with him. His name is Danny Polishchuk. He usually tours with Ryan Long, and he made this one. Here we go.
My fellow Americans, we all knew this day was coming. As difficult as it is to accept that I'm one of the most unpopular candidates in history, even with the entire mainstream media machine backing me and working to get me elected, it appears I have lost the race. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Fox, and everyone else that wasn't on Team Joy. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. You motherfuckers just can't stand to see a strong Black and occasionally Indian woman succeed. How the fuck did I get 15 million less votes than that retard Joe Biden in 2020? And pardon my language, but everyone knows under a second Trump term, we're allowed to say retarded again. So get off my balls. But seriously, how the fuck did Joe get 15 million more votes than me? I'm starting to think maybe we did steal that election in 2020. No way his dusty ass did that much better than me. Shit, I barely got more votes than Hillary Clinton. And we've imported 50 million illegals since 2016. And they're all voting for me. As for what's next for me, I'm still in charge of this country until January 20th. You heard that right? Joe doesn't know where the fuck he is half the time. So plan on an action-packed next couple of months. Might even fuck around and invade Canada. Finally, thanks for fucking nothing, America. You made Rachel Maddow and Van Jones cry again. I hope you're all very happy with yourselves.
All right. So there you go. Now, I think we do have to address something that Kamala Harris herself just mentioned in that video, because this has been going around everywhere. I'm sure you've seen this before. This is... where is it? This is the The graph seen everywhere.
Right.
The slightly lower numbers in the 2024 election overall than 2020. And I'm sorry to say I actually reposted this one too. There is a problem with this chart though, guys, which is this was published on November 6th, and they are still counting votes. They were still counting votes across the country. So these bars have been rising for like the past 4 days. So before everyone flies up, now I'm not saying there weren't bad things going on in the election, but this is proving that 2020 was stolen is a little bit of an oversimplification, because this is not the final election result. This is just the election results we had on November 6th, which obviously should be the results. But Alex says, isn't that just a deep fake? No, Alex, no, this is not a deep fake. That was Kamala Harris's concession speech. You could have watched it on national television. Anyway.
Can we address why they're still counting ballots across the country?
Because Democrats are cheating. That's why.
I mean, obviously that's the oversimplification answer, but how can people let that happen? Like, I think that now that Trump's in, we're going to have some guidelines, some rules here, but how is not everybody and their mother being like, Arizona, really? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, third world countries get their votes counted on election night. We used to get our votes counted on election night. Like, don't people remember, like, until 2018, our elections were perfect, and then everything just went off the rails completely? Wonder why that was. Oh, that's right. Democrats spent millions and millions of dollars rewriting Michigan's constitution to remove all the safeguards against election fraud, as they did in other swing states.
But we started counting ballots early, and it was just too big to rig.
Yeah. I mean,
but like, how is Arizona not doing that? Or what's going on? It's exhausting to research all of this, but I'd love to know a comprehensive answer.
I'm going to jump ahead on my list of things to show on screen right now. But I've got the
that's true, Alex.
But I've got the results for the U.S. House here someplace. And see, the problem is doing this, I lose track of where all my tabs are, because I've got like a billion tabs open. Here we go.
It's like my brain.
Yep. This is the U.S. House seats that are still being counted and haven't been called yet.
That's crazy.
So there's 213 seats. We know the Republicans have won. 203 the Democrats have won. As of now, they are in some states, and look at the states: California, Arizona, Alaska, California. Gee, would you be shocked to learn that Democrat-controlled states still haven't finished counting their votes? Wonder what they're up to. Wonder what's taking so long. Because all the BS about, these ballots are taking forever to count because they're absentee ballots. It's been 5 freaking days, and they're still counting votes. BS.
Are they just giving more time to cure the ballots?
Yeah, sure.
But at the same time,
no, I mean, look at these numbers: 77% in. How many ballots need to be cured? 76% and 70%, 61% in the California congressional district.
And we all know they don't check their signatures, so that they're not curing that much.
Yeah, that's the huge thing. Yep.
Right.
So, but this is where things stand now, where we need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more seats for House control. There's 6, 7, 8, 9 that the Republicans are ahead now. But I think all these numbers are going to break in California, and California. Gee. So there's that.
That's crazy.
But that's where things stand right now with the U.S. House, guys. So we actually don't know. But in Michigan, we did our part. We picked up a U.S. House seat with Tom Barrett, who is fantastic. Tom Barrett, he's on here somewhere. Oh no, these are only the swing seats, I guess they have listed here.
Well, that was a swing seat.
Huh?
That was a swing seat. It went from Slotkin to Barrett.
Right. Okay, but these are the ones that they're still tracking. It's already because that one's called on election night. It was a clear Republican pickup for Tom Barrett, who was great. Thank you, Mike Rogers. He lost his race, but you know what? I am proud to see Tom Barrett in the U.S. House. The difference between Mike Rogers and Slotkin. First off, the seat was a Democrat seat, so we didn't lose a seat. We just didn't gain one. But the difference between Rogers and Slotkin would have been Rogers have been doing more or less the same thing Slotkin is doing, which is more or less the same thing Mitch McConnell is doing, more or less the same thing the other Senate Republicans are doing. Difference would be everybody in the state party would be saying what a great guy Mike Rogers is instead of what a lousy, evil Democrat Slotkin is. We get to campaign against Slotkin for the next 6 years, not have to suck up to and put up with all of Mike Rogers' bad votes for the next 6 years. So,
did you say that on election night as well, or were you waiting?
I think I might have said that when I did my stream after I got home. I did not attack Mike Rogers at the event. I was not going to be rude to my host. I didn't say anything bad about Mike Rogers on the night at the event. Facebook user says, I've never been more happier for Barrett. Thank you, Facebook user, whoever you might be.
Yes, no, Barrett's amazing.
Another Facebook user, there's no point.
There's no point.
I know the race was close, guys. Here, I think I've got it here someplace.
60,000 votes.
Yeah, it was like 0.2 or 0.3 percentage points, which might sound really close, but the thing, guys, is election fraud happens with absentee ballots. When you're doing a recount, you're just recounting the same. It does not happen through machine fraud. Everyone that says that the Dominion voting machines are stealing elections is either completely ignorant of how elections work or lying to you. That's not where the fraud ever happens. Ever. Every time they do a recount, they end up with the exact same results, like plus or minus like 4 votes per thousand.
You would have to sit there and literally analyze every voter, and that's never going to happen until you have to analyze the QVF before the election even happens to try to make the QVF better, and that's under Jocelyn Benson. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're just recounting the exact same ballots. Where the election fraud might have happened with absentee ballots, you're just recounting the same bad ballots. And there's no way you can just ambiguate one ballot from another. Once they're in the tabulator, it's done. So, like when we did John Riley's recount, it was like something like 13,000 votes, and the recount changed, I want to say like 12 of them. So like 1 per 1,000. So the absolute max you might get out of a recount is 0.1%. But to do a statewide recount, that means recounting every dang precinct in Michigan. Forget it. And when we did the recount, the only ballots that were different from what the machines had said they were things that the machine could not possibly know. Like, for example, if you bubble in one candidate and then put a big X over it and then bubble in a different one, the machine will count that as an overvote, but it's not. You're actually supposed to count the one that didn't have the X on it. That was it. So you don't get more than 0.1% out of a recount ever. It just doesn't happen. So Mike Rogers conceded already, so no, he will not be asking for a recount. It would be pointless too. He lost because he got beat. And because people like me who voted for Trump did not vote for him. I'm sorry, guys. We're real. We're out there. So
I voted for Rogers because I know everybody doesn't think I did, but I totally did.
Nope. I saw the Libertarian candidate said, I am the anti-war candidate, and I voted for him. I'm not choosing between the FBI and the CIA, guys. I will not do it. If we got the Senate majority back anyway, and if we hadn't, that's on the SRCC. They boosted Mike Rogers in the first place.
That is where I wanted to come in and say that we have had our candidates handpicked for us, and that's where there's a disconnect. Yeah.
Mike Rogers was not the person that Michigan chose to represent us. It was the person that the Senate Republican Campaign Committee chose.
And then they bullied. Bullied everybody.
Told Trump to endorse him and all the rest. Mm-hmm. Facebook users says he put 1,000 doors for Barrett for almost 4 years. Yeah,
he's amazing.
He deserves it. Tom Barrett is extremely hardworking, very principled. Everyone who's worked with him loves him. Yeah, he's great. We're so think of the difference between having Tom Barrett in the U.S. House, someone you know is going to make you proud, who's going to be another Thomas Massey, versus having another Lindsey Graham, which is what Mike Rogers would have been. I make no apology whatsoever for not voting for Mike Rogers.
I can't believe you admitted that.
What? Yeah. Well,
I mean, no, you're real. I know you would, but I mean, I really did. I really did vote for him. Because he's better than Slotkin, but that's the argument.
I believe you. I believe you. On Rumble, Wise Bearded Dad says, please no more Paul Young in the 8th. Yeah, this is Paul Young's 3rd loss. I don't know that was going to be a winnable seat anyway, honestly.
It would have been with a better candidate.
Possibly.
Maybe a female. Maybe Nikki Snyder would have swept everybody if she was on the Senate campaign and or the House campaign there.
Yeah, who would have had a better chance than Rogers? Well, here's the answer to this question. Once the nominee is chosen, tens of millions of dollars go into the battleground districts. And So if it was going to be, and Nikki Snyder, who by the way won, I'm getting ahead of myself again, won a race for the state board of ed, or Sandy Penciller, money from outside sources comes into the general. The question is the primary. And if everyone wasn't putting their thumb on the scale, the primary would have turned out very differently.
Yeah.
Although the other thing going on bad in the primary was those idiots Peter Meyer and Justin Amash tried to run for that seat, which prompted Trump to early endorse just to stop both of them because they both voted to impeach him. So shame on both of them.
There was a lot of stuff there. I mean, I obviously worked for Sandy. I know Sandy's heart, but like he would have been an amazing senator. Worst campaigner ever, but an amazing senator because his turnaround for businesses would have just been phenomenal for our country because we need a turnaround. So he was the best.
Also, I should have gotten right to this. Wise Bearded Dad with a donation on Rumble says, I know it's early. Just hope the MI GOP gets a head start on 2026. We've got a governor and Senate seats to flip. Yes, absolutely we do. And I mean, we could take a short break for the holiday, but yeah, guys, no resting. The times they're moving on. Speaking of that, I'm going to skip past my Whoopi Goldberg clip and get into real stuff. I'm also going to skip over some people stealing credit for Trump's victory. Actually, I'm going to skip over the Mike Flynn stuff. I'll save that for next time when we have Scott on the show. McMahon.
I'm not a big fan of any of that conversation, by the way, which is why I'm not on when Scott's on, if anybody wonders.
But let me at least go to, I do want to show one thing, though, which is the scummiest of the scummiest of the scum, which is Nick Fuentes, who is, if you don't know who Nick Fuentes is, he's this Jew hater who disguises his Nazi proclivities by calling himself the leader of the Groyper movement. His claim to fame is when he and Milo Yiannopoulos got Kanye West to go to Mar-a-Lago and meet with Trump and embarrass and attack the Trump campaign. Here he is at 2 a.m. on Wednesday morning saying that, I can't believe we did it again. Yes, we, Nick Fuentes and his anti-Semites got Trump elected. And got kind of blown up in the comment section because of, clips like this.
Trump. And I'm not voting for him now.
And people show like all of these.
Wait. I'm sorry. I missed totally.
This is Nick Fuentes earlier, the day before. Why I'm not voting for literally the day before the election. I am not voting for Trump. Night of the election. Look, guys, we did it, guys. We got Trump elected again. I mean, this just goes
insane.
On. Yeah. You endorsed Harris. Fuentes deleting tweets and video cuts of him campaigning against Trump. You're biting Trump's heels every step of the way. You don't get to crawl back and take credit, you little worm. Get in the crystal. That's an inside joke, by the way. If you don't get it, you don't want to know. But this goes on and on and on. Anyway.
That's how I live my life right now. I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Yeah, there's an old saying that victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. And man, everybody in the world wants to take credit for the Trump victory now, don't they?
That was the worst part of it all. I mean, so many people worked so hard. I've been text messaging people all day that I've known that are really amazing. This would be fun. We could play that game of who do you think should run for SOS. I've had my guy for 4 years now that I'm like, I want to run you.
Who's that?
Jim Runstead.
Oh, that's not a bad pick at all.
I know. I'm really good at that game. I think Jim would be a great Secretary of State. I planted it 4 years ago at a pancake breakfast.
I think so. I think that's a great idea. Facebook user says Megan Reckling had a summary tweet of potential candidates for 2026. I'd have to see it.
There are tons of potential candidates.
Yep. Ron Fox on YouTube. I heard this ad too. Had a Slack. She bragged about being from the CIA. Like that was a positive. It's disgusting that people are now bragging about being from the FBI and the CIA. There was a time in America when that was like a campaign ender to be added as a CIA agent.
We need to make that a thing again.
Yep. Speaking of going back to now that thing we looked at earlier about the 10 million extra votes, there's another thing that's been going around thanks to our fair weather friend Elon. He's not a fair weather friend. Elon Musk, our friend Elon Musk. We posted this today.
Yeah, but we have no idea either.
Yeah. You see that because I heard someone say, "Isn't it amazing? Every state with voter ID, Trump won, and every state without it, Trump didn't win." Yeah. Well, first off, that's wrong because this is wrong because Michigan has no ID requirement at all, and probably other states as well.
Right.
But also, this is correlation, not causation.
Right.
The cause being they're Democrat-controlled states. That's why they have no ID to vote to perpetuate their big Democrat-controlled states.
So, Adam, do you know the answer to this? Could we do a national ID mandate?
Not easily. I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Congress could pass it.
Right.
Now it's up to the courts. And what would the courts do? It's not clear at all. I mean, the courts.
Michigan. We don't know what Michigan would do.
Well, the courts literally controlled the South's voting rights laws after the Civil Rights era because they argued that the southern states could not be could not be counted under unfair elections. Would they do that again? Possibly. Probably not, but you never know.
Right.
But you also have courts justices, conservative justices that might say it's a state's issue. So it's a tough one. And no one would know how the Supreme Court would break on that. Probably they'd be trying to avoid the topic. Facebook user, is this Patty or is this Dwayne? Tuesday, November 12th is the last meeting Plymouth Township Supervisor Kurt Heisey will preside over. It'll be the last time he'll be able to treat residents, I'm guessing this is Patty, with disgust and dismissal. We expect him to be Dwayne. Maybe even swear. I'll not be surprised if he doesn't tell me to shut up again. This will be a fun night. Hope to see you there.
I think that's Dwayne. Did he tell Patty to shut up? I don't think so.
That's Dwayne Law. That must be Patty. Okay. This is the guessing game for you tonight. Who's on
I
Facebook?
Love it.
I'm 0 for 2 now. I guess I'm not doing very well. P. Bycraft on Rumble says, love Jim. That must be in response to Jim Runstead for SOS. There you go.
Let's make a movement out of it.
Wisebearded down on Rumble also says, Nick Flynn says it's a Fed asset. That's why they never went after him for January 6th. So there you go. What else? We talked about Rogers already. Talked about the House already.
We talked about the House vote.
Huh?
And we didn't talk about the House vote, the new House. Oh, Michigan House.
No, I'm gonna get the state House. I was talking about the U.S. House.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, I want to talk. We'll do some more national stuff first because there's this whip list been going around. You folks might have heard that Mitch McConnell is stepping down as majority leader. He still has some time left in his term, so he's actually still a U.S. senator. But a whip list got leaked as to who people are backing for. Kirsten, this we're talking about right now. The secret vote for Senate Majority Leader. And by the way, we'll get some House goss on that too. But in the U.S. Senate, they're having their secret vote on Wednesday. And this is the list that has been leaked. Can I make this any bigger? A little hard to read for you guys, but basically there's 11, assuming this is accurate. And it looks reasonably accurate. It doesn't look unrealistic. But the whip list that was leaked says there's 11 votes in the Senate for Rick Scott, and it's all the conservatives. Rand Paul, J.D. Vance, Tommy Tuberville, Bill Hagerty, Eric Schmidt, Roger Marshall, Rick Scott, Mike Lee, Bernie Moreno, Ron Johnson, Marco Rubio. Not that I'm endorsing any of these particular people. Actually, I don't think Marco Rubio is a conservative, but he's with us on this, which is of the 3 candidates for Senate Majority Leader, by far Rick Scott's the most conservative, the most MAGA. He's from Florida, of course. John Cornyn is awful. And John Thune is no better. Thune is Mitch McConnell's lieutenant, and John Cornyn's a neocon. But Cornyn has, I think, I counted this up. Cornyn is at, according to this, Cornyn's at 18 and Thune is at 23, which means if there were to be a runoff, the first one eliminated would be Rick Scott. Then we've already lost, basically. Surprising to see Ted Cruz in Thune's camp. Also, a little strange to see John Thune in Cornyn's camp. That makes no sense. So something's wrong here.
So my question is, J.D. Vance. So he's the senator and the vice president until the Senate seat gets filled, or how does that work?
Well, okay. So I would think he should not get a vote on this, except that he's the president of the Senate.
Right.
So he's like the tie-breaking vote. So the vice president is the president of the Senate. Yeah, Hawley actually went on records endorsing Cornyn like a more. I mean, I've never liked Josh Hawley, honestly. I know he's been good on some things, but he's been terrible on foreign policy stuff. Really, actually, on a lot of things, inconsistent. Like he loves free speech, except when it's against liberals, and then he's all for it. But whatever. Obviously, here in Michigan, we don't have a say in this because our senators are both Democrats. But that's where things look now. So. So we'll just kind of report in the news, guys. Nothing we can do about it. So we will see what happens on Wednesday.
But Elon Musk tipped the scales for Scott.
Well, good, but the U.S. senators don't care what Elon Musk says. and it's a secret vote. They can also just lie about it.
But maybe they do care.
Yeah. But I doubt it. Look, guys, I hate to tell you, but Trump is an outlier. Most of these folks in the U.S. Senate are scum. They are swamp creatures. That's how they got there, by being swamp creatures. So there you go. Alan Lichtman totally underestimated Trump's charisma at the incident Butler. Yeah, there's a lot of pollsters that got things wrong this year. A lot of people talking about that. All right. What else is going on? Oh, one more thing nationally, and then we can look at some Michigan stuff. California had an interesting vote this year. And this is the story at the Post Millennial, which interestingly was completely suppressed by Google. California voters decided to make crimes felonies again over Gavin Newsom's objection. This is California Prop 36. And this is a proposal that actually is something that Kamala Harris herself was intensely involved with, which is making crime legal again. Or, well, I'll show you the details in a minute. But this is Prop 36, which would reclassify misdemeanor theft, which had been felonies, back to being felonies again. And it was 70%, 70.6% of the votes in California to reclassify violent felonies as felonies. And just to be clear what this is a great article from Man Culture that came out before the election. And this is the story. Here, let me go to the top just so you can see the headline. But the story was the prosecutor versus the felon. And this was some points that Coulter was making about Kamala Harris. But here's the story down below here. As Attorney General, Kamala Harris's job was to give propositions appearing on the California ballot titles and summaries to tell the voters what they're about. And so to fool voters into passing Proposition 47, which decriminalizes crime, and also Prop 57, which was to release violent criminals, Harris lied about what they were. Prop 47 basically turned every crime into a misdemeanor. Grand theft, commercial burglary, possession of illegal narcotics, all of these became misdemeanors. Theft of anything worth less than $950, even theft of a gun, became a misdemeanor, which to someone that, is living a life of crime, a misdemeanor is a very minor thing compared to a felony. That $950 cap does not include tens of thousands of dollars required to repair smashed car windows, storefronts, or display cases. So all kinds of property crimes were now misdemeanors. So smash and grab robberies became the new sport. Police didn't even respond to these calls anymore. So they got away with it. Even though they're misdemeanors, people just get away with them because they're no longer felonies. And Harris, let's see what she called this. The Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. That's what she called this with Prop 47, the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. And the descriptions are all misleading too. And then in Prop 57, same idea. Releasing nonviolent offenders. Who were those nonviolent offenders? Rapists, all kinds of things like that. So that's a whole other story. But anyway, California, liberal California, 70.6% reversed Kamala Harris on the very night that she also lost her election. So good job, California, at least on that vote, on restoring some law and order to your state. Good for you. All right, now let's talk about some Michigan stuff. And yeah, we looked at state legislature results on my stream late on Tuesday night, but there have been some updates. The results are now pretty much final, although I've heard in a couple of really close races there's some investigations going on. But the final results are 4 seats that got flipped. All of them were Democrat incumbents getting knocked out. No open seat flips. So in the 27th district, Riley Linting beat Jamie Churches 52% to 48%. She got not. That's the crazy lady that was like, she had an absolute mental breakdown when they voted to pass her anti-gun rights law. And she screamed, "And I know the gun rights people will take me out, but I don't care." And I don't know if the gun rights lobby was the only cause, but she lost her race by 4 percentage points. Go Riley Linting, probably the youngest member of the House now. Jamie Thompson held on. All the Republicans kept their seats. The other flips were, and unfortunately, this seat was very close. I'm very unhappy about Dale Banicki getting beaten by Regina Miller. But I did see Nurse News said that Democrats just poured money into this race like crazy. And there were some kind of late night ballot drops that like we went to bed with Benicki up, and then we woke up with him down again. So I think there's some people looking into that, but I can't say more about that. But other than that, all the Republicans held their seats. The other flips were
Frisbee.
Nate Shannon lost. Yeah, did I go past Frisbee already? And yeah, Frisbee beat Jim Hadsma. Jim Hadsma has won like 4 elections now, or maybe only 3, by the skin of his teeth, and he finally just lost by the skin of his teeth. Look at that.
Yeah, I feel like the same for Nate Shannon though.
Huh?
Same for Nate Shannon though.
Yeah, same for Nate Shannon. Nate Shannon always just barely won his races. Now he just barely. Actually, no, he got pretty soundly beat, 6 percentage points.
Yeah,
So
I mean it was McComb.
Yeah, McComb.
With Trump on the ballot.
Yeah, McComb with Trump, can't beat that.
No.
And the other pickup was Carl Bonac beat Jen Hill. Betsy Kafia held on, unfortunately.
How much was that one though?
Betsy Kafia won by 6 points. Carl Bonac won by 2. So that puts the House at 58-52 Republicans. In much sadder news, however, Republicans have very foolishly elected Matt Hall to be their speaker. But at least they will get what they deserve. Well, the ones who didn't vote for him won't get what they deserve, but the rest of them will. So good luck to you guys. Unfortunately,
Wait, do you know what the vote was? Do you have that?
No, I don't have that. I'll see what my sources can get me. I haven't been focusing on that this week. There's too much else going on, but I will try to get some more story about how that vote went down. But just so you know, I mentioned this on last weekend's stream. The vote was Thursday morning. They hold this vote right after the election so they can blindside the freshmen before they have any chance to think at all. And why they put up with this, I don't know. Shame on all of them. But we'll get a fuller story later. But yeah, so unfortunately, the House Republicans will probably spend the next 2 years compromising with Democrats and begging for lobbyist money instead of actually bringing the fight to them. So we'll see how that turns out for them. But at least they can block the most extreme Democrat legislation out there for the next 2 years. The downside is lame duck is starting this week. I've already heard the first thing on their agenda is passing driver licenses for illegals. That's their first order of business, passing driver licenses for illegals.
But then if that's the case, won't we know all the illegals to kick them out when Trump comes in? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Yeah, it'd be funny, but no. This is still the Democrats' major strategy, even though it's a losing, like they know voters hate this, but that's why they pass it in lame duck, because they're the furthest they'll ever be away from their next election. And it's their last chance to do anything. They wouldn't dare do it before the election because they knew they would lose even more seats if they did that. If you had Betsy Kofia and Regina Miller on record supporting driver licenses for illegals, some of them co-sponsored that bill, by the way. But yeah, they're going to vote for that, and the Republicans can't do anything about it as long as the Democrats are voting as a bloc, and they probably are. They wouldn't have it on the agenda if there wasn't a fight on that. There will be some things we can try to fight, but I hate to say it, guys. Democrats vote unanimously almost every single time. I think also possibly homeschool registration, probably. Guys, I mean, everything is going to be coming at us. The only reason I haven't jumped in front of this is just because we can't do anything about it. All we can do is report about it. Bill Gordon on YouTube says, I agree with Amber. Illegals getting IDs is great for ICE. Yeah, we'll see.
Right?
The problem is they're not checking, you know?
But
so
when they're forced to by the new administration, not forced, I shouldn't say forced, when they're actually able to do their job under the new administration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yep.
Yeah.
Facebook user says, I thought the Never Rogers may have assured Slotkin for at least 30 years in the Senate. How? Did she have no elections for the next 30 years? But it occurred to me she might become President Slotkin. Yeah, sure. Okay. I mean, guys, this is the way. This is the way. And I'm not a Facebook user. I don't even know who Facebook user is. But I will assume you're a good-natured person. But just so you guys know, this is how the political class constantly gets you guys to carry the water for the establishment. They
That's
tell
true.
you, if you don't support the lesser of two evils, then all hell's going to freeze over, and the Democrats are going to destroy our lives, and yada yada. And at the end of the day, when you take that message on, you become no longer the grassroots telling the establishment what they must do, but the establishment telling the grassroots what they must settle for. And that's what gets people to just walk away from politics. That's
100% true.
You're going to tell people we got to beat Alyssa Slotkin with Mike Rogers, and people are going to go, "Why? What for?"
They're the same person.
The FBI
everybody saw this a million miles coming.
We need a never Trump FBI House Intelligence Committee chair to beat the CIA. It's like, oh boy.
No.
Guys, there's other things you can do with your time. Look,
Right now, we need to find somebody to go against Gary Peters and then to go against Slacken. And they better be either one, connected and have money, or two, no, connected and have money kind of covers it.
Yeah, we got
with good spirits.
Yeah, we got 13 U.S. House seats, 110 state House seats, 38 state Senate seats to worry about, plus school boards and everything else. You know, you don't need to look. I was a good boy and kept my mouth quiet before the election, but that time is over and Rogers lost. Maybe not entirely, Amber, but only when people brought it up. Allegan.
I got a mean nasty Graham.
Third party got 90,000 votes. Yeah, well, if the third party guy was like a what's his face, the libertarian guy that was on the U.S. president ballot, the weirdo, I wouldn't have voted for him. But the libertarian nominee was like, "I am anti-war." So I was like, "Okay, you got my vote." The end. You see how this works, guys? When the anti-war wins, the politicians start going, maybe there's a price to pay for bad behavior, like being pro-war. Like Kamala Harris walked around with Liz Cheney. Who thought of that? That was a good idea. Now the Democrats are soul searching. They're like, you know what? These pro-war candidates got beat by some anti-war candidates, or at least they got taken down by them. So, you know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So what's even more concerning, though, is I got a mean, nasty Graham from somebody that goes, "You got what you wanted." And I go, "What are you talking about? Rogers lost." I go, No. I joined the Penciler campaign because I knew the problems that Roger posed in the states and the problems against Slacken. I never want, but the fact is they said the primary was the issue. No, the primary is a good thing because we're supposed to have the best candidate win. In this case, whatever, it happened. But like they were mad about the primary and how we beat up on the primary. I'm like,
yeah, the primary is when you litigate issues. That's when you vote for patriots over the rhinos. That's how that works. That's why it's called the primary.
And I'm sorry that he had baggage that was exposed in the primary that should have had people go,
yeah.
Why did we even pick him in the first place?
I mean, if someone sends me that email, I'd be like, yeah, I did get what I wanted. I wanted Mike Rogers to lose, and he did.
I didn't want.
And let me just say, as a disclaimer, guys, in my capacity with the Washington County Republican Party, I was a good boy. Okay, we gave out Mike Rogers signs. I happily did so. I never said a bad word about him at the office. I did not badmouth Mike Rogers at all ever when I have my GOP hat on. When I have my Rescue Michigan hat on, it's the issues I'm doing this for, not the candidates. Okay. That's the way that works. So anyway, Facebook user says we finally had a school board win in Plymouth, Canton. Jennifer Vaughn. Now we finally have 2 on the board.
That's great.
And speaking of that, I meant to go back because I forgot to read a long comment from this must be Mark Price. Sadly, I was not reelected to the Highland School Board. Please don't feel sorry for me. I was on the school board for 4 years, including being treasurer, plus the Highland Park Mayor is a Harris Democrat, appointed me as a Citizen District Advisory Council member for the 3-year term, which is my 3rd time in government office after being on a successful city charter, revision commission, and the school board. Good for you, Mark. Sorry to hear you didn't win the election. But those school board races are really hard, and you've been on it for 4 years, so good for you. And I'm sorry you didn't have even more success, but it sounds like you're happy. So good for you, Mark. Oh, and it was Jennifer Voss, not Vaughn, on the school board. Patty says we got trounced in school board races across the state. Yeah, well, except for one. Let me put this on the screen right now. Tom McMillan, Nikki Snyder, both held their seats on the State Board of Education. Now they're still 2-6, but better that than 8-0.
It's true.
And Adam Zemke, who was a rancid Democrat in the state house, got beaten. He came in last place. He's an Ann Arbor Democrat too. He was, I think, like House Minority Floor Leader or something like that when he was in the state house, and he came in last. I'm so glad. Anyway, so go Tom McMillan. School board races are really hard, and the Democrats have a huge institutional advantage called the teachers union. So it's really hard, guys.
Yeah.
I think we're all really focused on Trump and the ticket. But yeah, so we held our state board of education seats. That's fantastic. In the University of Michigan, we had one and held it. Would have been different if we had Ron Weiser and Carl Myers instead, possibly. How to explain the gap here, I don't know, except I mentioned this in the primary. Sometimes your name just matters. And, I hate to say it because it's not fair, it's not right, but obviously Savag, I believe that's an Armenian name. Anyway, Savag didn't make it. But actually 8 years ago, the race was Ron Weiser came in first, Denise Illich came in second, and Karl Myers came in fourth. So it would have been different if that was how the race shook out. I don't know. But that's the way it is. Facebook user says, that's sad. I agree, and life's not fair. Ask Kima Kalana-Goretti. She was not happy about losing to Whitney Williams in the primary when she campaigned her tail off, and Whitney wasn't even there at all. But that's them's the ropes. Some of you guys, you want to run for office, you got to change your name. In Wayne State, we picked up a seat. Sonny Reddy knocked out Mark Gaffney. We picked one up there, guys, which is fantastic. I mean,
not a lot of people knew this, but in the last 2 months, I was Sonny's campaign manager. So this is actually my first real W working for a candidate directly. So super stoked about that one.
Awesome. Congratulations, Amber, and congratulations to Sonny too. That's fantastic.
Great. He's a great guy. So it was really easy, but it feels good.
Yep. And Michael Basuita was the incumbent. So that's he's keeping a seat, which is good too. But we also picked one up there. So that's an improvement. In Michigan State. Yeah. Strange. 2 days ago.
Gaffney, a lot of people didn't know.
Go ahead, Amber.
Oh, God.
Oh, I moved on.
So Gaffney on the Wayne State. Yeah. So he was a huge union boss back in the day. So nobody thought they thought that the Dems would sweep it. The union guys would just vote for him. But no, I mean, it just goes to show you that you can't hedge your bets always, because I know some people that hedge their bets there as Republicans, and it kind of, it was really upsetting to deal with, but it feels good. Don't hedge your bets.
Yeah. Oh, going back to some chats I might have missed on Rumble. Wise Bearded Dad says, my thing with the majority leader, Cornyn said Cornyn would be a GD disaster. Yeah, Thune would be no better. And then he says, Matt Hall is like Charmin Ultra Thofts. He's like 12 ply. And he says, whoever runs against Peters needs to be someone off the cuff, someone with name recognition. I hope we get some good candidates for that. Latino Voice on Rumble says, vote will happen before Vance becomes vice president. Yeah, but the outgoing senators don't get to vote. It's the incoming class that gets to vote on who their leader will be. Vance is on there because he's going to be the president of the Senate. So that's that one. Anyway, going back to the college boards. A couple of days ago, Julie Mayday was in second place, but now the race is undecided, uncalled. So we'll see. 99% in. So it looks like it's going to be tough to overcome what appears to be a 0.1%, and maybe not, 7,000 votes. Who knows? Fishy, but then where are these last votes going to be coming from? My guess would be liberal districts. So we'll see, but not a good looking trend. But Mike Balow is called. He has won. We had one before, so we have not lost any, and we might possibly pick one up, but it looks like we'll stay the same there. Overall, great stuff. Great stuff for the statewide seats. In stark contrast, I have to say, unfortunately, with the state Supreme Court, which is a cluster.
I mean, that whole thing is beyond rational, though, and I think that a lot of the Constitution has a lot to do with that. Is because we cannot. Thank you. We cannot. We have them run as partisan, but then we can't designate them as partisan on the ballot, and it makes no sense. So I think that we have to really come and hone in on that as a state.
Well, first off, this is a huge variation compared to the university board seats. I mean, let's assume, like, most voters have no idea who the candidates are for the university boards. That might be the exception for a few of them, but I bet most people don't.
Right.
But that was, going back here, those were like by a 0.1 percentage point, 0.2, 0.5 percentage points. These are 20, 22, 23 point gaps. These are huge gaps, guys. Right. So there's a lot to talk about here. A lot of factors at play that we really need to talk about and think about here. As Amber, you just mentioned, it's a nonpartisan seat. However, I should also point out that someone's got to be able to tell who they are. And because in this race, there were no third-party candidates. Like, there have been years that we have had libertarians on the ballot and we've had Greens on the ballot, and somehow people have figured it out. This year we had, as far as I could see, like very little ground game for Fink and O'Grady, particularly for O'Grady. Fink had yard signs. O'Grady didn't even have yard signs. We'll talk about that in a second. But the fact that people could tell, like all the Democrats had Bold and Thomas signs in their yard. So if you knew who the Democrats were, you knew who the Republicans were.
Right.
So I think there's something to that. And then the other thing too is the straight ticket voting. Straight ticket voting in general benefits Democrats because more Democrats than Republicans, will bubble in straight ticket and not do the down ballot stuff. So that would go against what these results are showing. I think there's two major things at play here. The first is, I think the state party, well, actually, maybe I'll say three things. The first is I think the state party dropped the ball on this. And there's probably a lot of reasons why. Fink beating Boonstra was an upset. There is a lot of behind the scenes consultant stuff going on with that. I talked about this on Tuesday's late night part 2 stream, actually. John Yobb's candidates were O'Grady and Boonstra. And John Yobb basically owns the state party at this point. And I would not put it past him to send a message. If you don't go with my guy, you lose. And just withhold resources from the state Supreme Court race to put it elsewhere into these other seats, into the presidential race. I would not be surprised by that.
I totally see that. I never thought about that.
I would not be surprised at all. There was also some discussion after we had the primary or the convention that the legal community in general would be more supportive of Boonstra as a judge than Fink as a state lawmaker, which I can kind of see, but most of the legal community is liberal, and the ones that aren't, the conservatives, would still want to support the conservative candidates. So I don't know how far that would go. But the other thing I think, which we have to acknowledge, is that the Democrats were still in this particular race campaigning on abortion and playing the booga booga. Republicans are going to support abortion, or are going to support life, and we really need to defend the right to kill babies. They don't say it that way, of course, but that's what they mean. And I heard from multiple people that they were hearing that O'Grady was extremely pro-life, Fink was extremely pro. I mean, what Democrats say about everybody. That's what they say about all Republicans. They're so extreme. Republicans cannot, for some reason, campaign against late-term abortion, dismemberment abortion, spreading the Constitution, which Roe v. Wade did. They just are unable to articulate this stuff. And we're going to have a permanent problem in the Republican Party if we don't figure out ways to message stronger on abortion and not just let the Democrats kick the shit out of us.
Right.
So that will have to change. I mean, this is a bad loss, folks. We went from, on paper, 4-3, really 5-2 because Clements is a total rhino, to now 6-1. We lost David Viviano, who was like the Scalia, Clarence Thomas of the Michigan Supreme Court, and just got Kimberly Thomas, who I guarantee is going to be some kind of extremist like Kyra Bolden and the rest of the Democrats are. I mean, the Democrats never run anyone except their partisan extremists in the judge races anymore, ever.
Right.
That's another thing. Where is anyone talking about how extreme these Democrat judges are? That they all vote against the Constitution for their partisan garbage every time.
Right.
They're just not there. If we don't start speaking out about this stuff, it's going to be a real problem. Now, I do think you're going to see a lot of ridiculous, outrageous, crazy decisions from Democrat judges attacking Trump's agenda for the next 4 years. So that's something to talk about. Heather Dow says we need to encourage our voters to vote down ballot. Absolutely.
I agree.
Although generally, I think we are better at that. At least our voters are compared to Democrat voters. They are by definition low information voters. Wise Bearded Dad says, I barely knew who the conservative justices running were, and I semi-pay attention. The average voter probably has no idea. Yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot of that also goes to party organization. I think we had a lot of, I think, first of all, the relentless attacks on Ron Weiser damaged the state party financially in a huge way. The entire Karamo debacle damaged the state party in a huge way. And then the final thing, Fink beating Boonstra, I think also got Yobb's attention off of the state Supreme Court race because he didn't care all that much anymore. He wanted the opponent to lose. I think those are the big reasons why we had a disaster on the state Supreme Court when everything else did really well.
Right.
But I'm open to anyone else's opinion if they think there's something I'm missing there. But thank you, Amber. I agree with myself. All right, now The next thing, guys, and we're already an hour in. There's still more to go over.
Is there?
Let's talk about lame duck. I mentioned driver's license for illegals. Let's look at here. Can I make this? Did I make this too big on the screen? This is a post from Jim Runstead. This is early this week. Today is the first day of lame duck after Democrats' disastrous policies got them booted from power. Now they're pushing. So, guys, this is the Democrats have a month and a half left to pass everything they want to before Republicans can stop them, and they're going to do everything imaginable. I'm talking billion-dollar corporate subsidy deals, tyrannical corrupt deals. And here's some of the things that Runstead's talking about. In fact, he made a little video. Let's watch this real quick.
Commissioner, even hello, constituents. This is Senator Jim Runstead, and today the Democrats pushed through a number of garbage bills that I voted against. Amongst them was Senate Bill 870. It stands out as a particularly bad bill because it eliminates your ability to hold local decision makers accountable. This bill allows appointed members of public bodies to attend meetings virtually simply by claiming a physical or mental disability. They don't have to have any proof. These powerful bodies, like the all-beloved, powerful Michigan Public Service Commission, which oversees all your utility rate increases in service, or your local road commissioner, even the ISD, which can put school millages on the ballot, can all be appointed, and thus you have little say or control over these essential issues unless you have the ability to confront them. But now, thanks to the Democrats, these board members can now simply avoid facing you in person by using remote attendance as a shield, reducing transparency and accountability by just saying they can't do it. Michigan is acknowledged to be the absolute nation's least transparent state. At least we had the Open Meetings Act, which was created to ensure you had public access to have oversight. The Democrats today scrapped that purpose. Thank you. This is Senator.
So there you go. And that's the tip of the iceberg, guys. I mean, look, I hate to tell you this, Operation Watchdog is behind. I'm going to be spending the rest of this week catching up because we had all this election stuff, but the state Senate, because they didn't have elections, the state House did. The state Senate has been meeting every Wednesday since the summer vacation was over, ramming stuff through, brand new bills even. Because then in lame duck, they'll just start pushing them right through the state House and the Senate, and it's going to be everything, guys. It's going to be an absolute flood of bills designed to maintain the Democrats' political advantage in every way, shape, and form, and all the most crazy radical stuff too, all the radical social policy stuff, plus all kinds of lobbyist deals. What Renzo was just talking about, by the way, the Michigan Public Service Commission. This is it's supposed to be the public entity that regulates the utilities. The reality is it's all run by appointees from the utilities themselves. It's the biggest 800-pound gorilla lobbying entity in Lansing. And the Democrats are giving them even more power. All that stuff about green energy mandates, because the utilities get a guaranteed profit. The more expensive energy is, the more money they make. That's why the Democrats are doing it, folks, because they're making utility monopolies rich. And they're putting that money all right back in the Democrat campaigns. Anyway, so that's going to be the one. It's going to be bad. So look for updates from Rescue Michigan on that for the next week or 3 or 5. Who knows? They might drag this out all the way right to Christmas.
I kind of miss coming on with you, Adam. Like, there's so much doom and gloom, and here I am, like, okay, let's get some positivity here. Trump still won.
Yeah, Trump still won, guys. Trump still won. We still had a good night.
You're so like.
We still had a good election. I know. I mean, the fact that they're doing this stuff, well, they would have done this anyway. Even if they were still in the majority,
they would have done worse.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, but yeah, overall, I mean,
everything can be undone.
Yeah. Well, no, it can't. It'll never be undone. Never. I mean, if Republicans get the majority in both chambers and win the governor's race and the state Supreme Court in 2 years from now, they won't undo any of this thing, guys. And they might undo 1 or 2 things. It won't be like the Democrats when they just completely dismantle Rick Snyder's legacy. No, they won't do that. Because they want that lobbyist money. The whole institute of government leans to the left because money is votes. Spending is lobbyist money, is winning our election, is votes. So they're not going to undo almost any of the things the Democrats do. And all the social policy stuff, all the radical extremist social stuff, they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because then the Democrats will beat us up over it in the election, like they did with the abortion stuff.
But they still beat up candidates like Donnie Steele for abortion.
Yeah, they'll beat them, I know they'll beat them up anyway, but it doesn't matter because Republicans will back down. And if we have a 58 to 52 majority in 2 years, you know what? All the Democrats have to do is get 4 Republicans to vote against us, and they always will. They'll find the 4 softest ones. They'll find the what's the guy's name? Shoot, Mike Mueller. Thank you. The Mike Muellers and the Mark Tisdalls and the Matt Halls and the rest of them. And they'll always get 1 vote over, and they'll block whatever. That's the way it's going to go. Hate to break it to you guys.
I think we'll be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Michigan's going to be fine. We're going to hold our legislators accountable thanks to Adam D'Angeli and Rescue Michigan, and they're going to see the light, and we're going to have better candidates, and we're going to all live happily ever after.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll try. Facebook user says, I sometimes hear stuff about John Engler recently. I don't really hear anything about Rick Snyder recently.
Oh, I can tell you a lot about Rick Snyder. I'm not going to.
We heard plenty from Rick Snyder recently.
Yeah, we did.
Yep. Anyway, what else? So the last thing to talk about tonight, and then I guess we'll call it a stream, is
it's a good stream.
The next Trump administration. There's been some news. And I have to say I'm cautiously optimistic because, well, a lot of our people have been like extremely optimistic about the Trump administration. And I have to say there's a lot to that. There's JD Vance, there's Vivek, there's Elon Musk, there's
JFK or RFK.
Or there's RFK in the mix. There's Tulsi Gabbard.
I love Tulsi.
And Trump himself is, from all these people, they're all saying Trump has learned a lot in the last 4 years. But again, what I was just saying about government is it leans to the left. It always does. The biggest thing, the most positive thing I've heard that I find really encouraging is Vivek was talking to Tucker about a plan to dismantle the administrative state. And the way it works is that the Supreme Court hinted at this big decision, I believe it was the Chevron case, that a lot of these federal regulations are unconstitutional because they really don't have any legal basis for it. And so the administration themselves can just issue orders shredding a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of civil service protections against firing individual federal workers, but not against mass layoffs, not against like major downsizings. And they also think that and we'll see about this, if Republicans get the House and the Senate, that they could also pass a law to do a lot of those things. We shall see. But the other question, of course, is who Trump will appoint for his administration. And the big story this week is that he has announced, after tons of grassroots pressure, there will be no Mike Pompeo in his administration, and there will be no Nikki Haley in his administration, which sounds great to me, because those are obviously neocons that were terrible for him in the first term. Well, Nikki Haley was pretty much a nobody. She was the UN ambassador, but UN ambassador votes the way the president tells her to. But of course, she was a neocon at heart, and Mike Pompeo did a lot to undermine Trump's America First agenda. The thing that I am not so happy about, though, is that for all the talk about this, there's been no talk about some other people worming their way in, including most suspiciously Rick Grinnell, who all my sources are saying he's going to be Secretary of State. You hearing that too, Amber? Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah. I knew he was going to be Secretary of State. Yeah, absolutely. He was traveling around campaigning like nobody's business for him.
Yeah. And I don't think Trump understands how bad that would be. Now, to his credit, I will say this. Rick Grinnell has said multiple times, in essence, fuck Europe. And amen, brother, preach that. But he is a warmonger. He is completely in favor of locking up Julian Assange. She was the one that sabotaged the Assange pardon, the Snowden pardon. So we'll see what happens because...
Oh, yeah, he hates Snowden.
Dave Smith has said that Trump, when he was at the Libertarian Party conference, promised he was going to pardon Ross Ulbricht on day one. For those who don't know, Ross Ulbricht is the founder of something called the Silk Road, which was basically an online, completely anonymous web system that, of course, ended up being used for selling drugs and stuff. But they basically held him accountable for everything that every user did on his website.
Oh, wow.
And he's been in prison for the last 10 years. He's a brilliant guy. And it's been a big cause for the Libertarians to get him pardoned. So we'll see. I mean, that will be the indicator of whether or not Trump is going to go that way with Grinnell. But Grinnell is also totally in favor of, and Bill, I couldn't disagree with him more about Rick Grinnell. Grinnell totally, there's basically two kinds of neocons in Washington. There are the hardcore Ukraine fanatics, and then there's the other ones who are saying, let's back off of Ukraine because we got to go to war with China. And Grinnell's in the latter camp. Like they're totally pro-war. They just want a different kind of war. No understanding of like that's not what the world is at anymore. And we'll see what happens with Trump, because Trump's gonna have to make some phone calls, and he's gonna call Russia and say, hey, Putin, we got to make a deal, end this Ukraine war. Remember this one perfect phone call he's talked about? He's going to offer something like, how about we say Ukraine can't get into NATO for this? By the way, these are plans that Trump's people have been talking about. How about we say we'll say no, we'll let you guys freeze the conflict at the borders where they are now, and we'll have no NATO for Ukraine for the next 20 years. How does that sound, Russia? That's a great deal, isn't it, Russia? You guys can keep all the territory you've taken. We'll end the war, and no NATO for Ukraine for at least 20 years. How about that? And Russia's going to say, fuck off. And then what's going to happen? Because Russia's going to be like, no, we won this war. The only terms we're going to consider is NATO will never, ever be with Ukraine. And by the way, we need to completely renegotiate our security agreements because we will never allow this threat to exist ever, ever again. And then what's Trump going to do? You know, he's got a real problem here because the military is not what it was. 3 years ago, Russia was really nervous about invading Ukraine because they didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't know if their economy would collapse. They didn't know if they're going to have military problems fighting Ukrainians. Now they've won the war and they have friends with China and, you know, tons and tons of countries. They just had a huge summit with like 47 countries attending it. And they think they're going to go to war with China over Taiwan. They're going to isolate China. By the way, Amber, you seem to be frozen. I don't know if that's me. Oh, you're not frozen. Okay, you're just looking down at your phone the whole time.
No, I was sorry. I was watching a video of Biden battling sand on the Delaware beach. Did you see that video?
No, what was it?
It was him walking on the beach in Delaware, like stumbling the whole way because he can't walk through sand. And I wanted to see Jill's reaction, but I couldn't. They're just asking him. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you can watch it after the stream too, you know.
Oh yeah, I know. I just got distracted. It's been like an hour. Like
yeah, I know. Sometimes these streams go longer. Anyway, there's been only one Trump appointment yet. By the way, the other news, the other guy they've been talking about a lot is for Secretary of Defense, Mike Rogers.
I heard that.
However, there's actually not one, not two, but three Mike Rogers out there. So which one they're talking about is actually still subject of contention. Now, I don't think they're talking about the Mike Rogers neocon that just lost his race in Michigan. But then there's this other guy, I believe he's the chair of the Armed Services Committee, who's also a neocon. Mike Rogers, who, like Pompeo, is a total war hawk, wants to go to war with Russia, China, et cetera, et cetera. I think he's from Alabama, something like that. So that's one Mike Rogers. However, there's at least a possibility that it's actually this guy, Michael S. Rogers, who's a retired four-star admiral who apparently was in charge of, let's see, what does it say? U.S. Cyber Command. I think he was the guy that actually tipped Trump off that the DOJ and the FBI were tapping his phones and stuff, like in 2016, something like that. So maybe they mean this guy. That'd be reassuring. So there's that.
I thought Tulsi would be a good Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, but they're not gonna pick her for that. I wish they would, but I don't think they will.
See, that would be such a strong, empowering female role. Like, let's talk about how like we make female empowerment there. That would be a huge power play because she's brilliant. She really is.
They would probably say she's not high ranked enough, though. They'd probably say something like that. But I don't know.
Has boobs.
Yeah, that'd be a problem too. I don't know, but you know, he has good people. I've heard a rumor, and it may not be true, that Colonel Doug McGregor is on the transition team making recommendations, and that'd be awesome. But who knows? You never know. You just never know until you find out. Bill says I'd prefer Tulsi for SOS.
I think that's Yeah, no, that'd be a good move.
All we can do is wait and see. The only official decision we've heard so far is Susie Wiles for chief of staff, which I guess is better than Reince Priebus was. But and a lot of people on the internet have been saying this is a great pick. She's sound. She's neutral. She was his campaign manager. She's the steady Susie, they call her, something like that. I don't know, though. I don't know. Her background was working for Jack Kemp, followed by career as a pharmaceutical lobbyist. So not exactly an anti-swamp person. And then there is also this. Jeb Bush, Susie Wiles, great choice for President Trump's chief of staff. So,
well, they're Floridian people. You know, she's based in Florida. Jeb's Florida. I don't know. You know,
yeah, there could be something to that too. So, I guess we'll just be in suspense a little bit longer. As I say, I mean the big pick, there's one other big pick that we do know about, and that's JD Vance, and that's extremely encouraging. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about this. I know everyone's high on the.
You're always a Debbie Downer. I feel like you want to be a Debbie Downer about.
Well, no. Because I want to be alert. Like I wanted to do an email blast about this this Matt Hall decision on Thursday morning, but I was going to do something on Wednesday. But then, A, I was really busy. B, I didn't think we had any real way to get people to contact their representative elect to say anything about it. And besides the secret ballots, what would it do anyway?
Right.
But there's always the issue of what more could we be doing, and the power structure never rests.
Family right now. Enjoy family.
Yeah. Well, Thanksgiving's coming up. Bill Gordon says, what do you think Vance's role will be? I don't know. That's a good question.
I think he'll be very strong. I think that I think Trump wants to line up a legacy. And I think that with his family, and I think with JD Vance, that's what it's going to look like. I'll tell everybody till the cows come home. I will do anything for that administration possible because JD Vance embodies everything I want.
I think he'll be a high level advisor, and I think he will be also his liaison to the Senate and probably Congress in general. I think he's going to be doing a lot of domestic policy stuff. JD Vance will not let Trump forget the forgotten man again.
Yes.
Or
America, for that matter, I think.
Yeah. When asked, Rick Grinnell says the doctrine of mutually assured destruction is made obsolete by diplomacy. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, Russia has the most nuclear weapons in the entire world, but don't worry, we have diplomacy on it. Jesus Christ.
It's so weird we can't see who these people are.
I know. I can't guess who that might have been.
Well, this was fun.
Yep. So there you go, folks. There will be more to talk about for sure.
Just enjoy. Enjoy, but stay alert.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is JD Vance recently has been on record saying that he's opposed to the Federal Reserve, as has been, and Elon Musk is like talking with Ron Paul about what they're going to cut. So let's see. Do you guys remember when Ron Paul ran for president? He was talking about destroying 5 entire cabinet level departments. Can you remember what those 5 were? If you can, you know better than Jeb Bush did at the debate. Or no, was it Jeb Bush? Who was it that forgot the departments? There was some guy running for president in 2012, and Ron had been talking about cutting 5 departments, which were commerce, interior, energy, HUD, and education. And one of the other pretenders was like trying to say he was going to do 3, and he named 2 and forgot the 3rd. And it was humiliating. It might have been Rick Perry. Thank you, Facebook user Rick Perry. And thank you, other Facebook user Rick Perry. That was it. That was Rick. That was the death of Rick Perry's campaign right there. Rick Perry went on to be the Secretary of Energy, actually.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but anyway, there you go. So under Trump's administration, I believe it was. Was it not? Yeah, of course it was. It had to have been. So there you go, guys. All right, that will do it for us for tonight. There's been a lot of news this week. I think there'll be a lot more news this week. Yeah. So we shall see. We shall see what the state legislature will be doing. We will have our eye on it. We'll see how the U.S. House race shakes up, and we will see who the next Senate Majority Leader will be. I've got a bad feeling it won't be Rick Scott. Or the other thing people have been saying is that, who should really be is JD Vance. People have been saying that, which would be a distinct possibility, but for the fact that there's going to be a secret ballot. So I don't know. We're not in any position to do anything about that here in Michigan, so we'll just have to wait and see. All right, guys. Amber, thank you for joining me. You got any things to talk about? Events coming up, or probably not. It's time to take a break, huh?
Well, no, I'm still running several events.
So you just said take a break and be with your family, but okay, what you got?
No, so I'm getting into the nonprofit sector. So I have a couple nonprofit things coming up. Informed Advocates of Michigan in Fenton on Thursday, December 5th. And it's basically a group that's going to bridge a gap between civic organizations that already exist and kind of the generation of the millennials and the Gen Zers that are lost. So that's really exciting. It's going to be at a curling ring called The Barn, and that is on December 5th. Follow me on social media, Amber Marie Harris on Facebook, and pretty much everything else. And watch for those invites. And then what else? I feel like there was another thing. Oh, grand new party stuff, but we'll agree to disagree on that one. But we have a Christmas party coming up in Jackson. If you're in Jackson, Christmas party December 6th. It'll be a lot of fun. We're bringing together some different GOPs. It's going to be a good time. Adam, I want you there. But everybody, I want you there. Jackson.
Yeah, we have not actually scheduled our Washtenaw GOP victory party yet. So we'll see.
That's the thing is like a lot of people haven't turned around and did a Christmas party yet. Victory party. Yep. Great.
I missed some Rumble chats. Hold on. Let's see. Denise Diva says, I missed some of the stream. How could we have Michael Markey for something in the financial area?
I like Michael Markey.
Wise Bearded Dad says, Ken Paxton for AG. It's Me Against Science says, Jeff Clark for AG. It's Me Against Science says, the votes were leaked on X. Thune is winning. Yeah, we did post that earlier, although it was a little small to read on the screen. But yeah, yep. And unfortunately, Rick Scott's in third, which is the way it goes. But
it can come up. But yeah, December 6th, Jackson. Watch for that invite from the social media posts for the Grand New Party Christmas party. It'll be fun.
All right, guys. Have a great week. Enjoy the lull in the action, even though there isn't one. And until next time, thanks for all you guys do for liberty. Peace.
Help our country heal. Help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Trump 2024, deal with it.